Once there lived a boy in a small village. His name was Jack. He was 12 years old and had a mischievous and cruel nature. Jack was notorious for his teasing and taunting of the weaker kids in school. He enjoyed tormenting innocent insects, birds, and animals for his own pleasure. His parents tried to stop him from making friends with bad boys, but Jack never listened to them. One night, while Jack was fast asleep, he had a dream that he was walking through a dark forest. The trees were so tall and dense that he could barely see the sky. The only light came from the glowing eyes of a mysterious owl perched on a nearby branch. Jack felt a sense of dread as he walked through the eerie forest, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Suddenly, he heard a faint whisper. "Who dares to enter my forest?" The voice seemed low and menacing. It was difficult for Jack to tell where the voice was coming from. He turned around and saw a pair of piercing green eyes staring at him from the shadows. Jack was terrified and tried to run, but his feet wouldn't move. The eyes grew closer, and he realized that they belonged to a witch. The witch's face was covered in wrinkles, and her long, knotted hair flowed down her back like black tar. She wore a tattered black dress, and her fingers were bony and gnarled like the branches of a dead tree. Jack felt a shiver run down his spine as the witch cackled and said, "I've been waiting for you, little boy." The witch waved her hand, and suddenly, Jack was surrounded by a swarm of bats and a hissing black cat. They scratched and clawed at him, and Jack screamed in terror. He tried to fight them off but couldn't. They were too strong for him to be defeated. The witch continued to laugh as Jack writhed in agony, begging for mercy. Eventually, Jack woke up, drenched in sweat and trembling. His heart was pounding heavily, and he could still feel the scratch marks from the bats and the cat. He sat up in bed, gasping for air, and saw his mother standing in the doorway. She rushed over to him and hugged him tightly, trying to soothe his fears. "Mom, I saw a witch in my dream," Jack said in a trembling voice. "She tormented me. She left her cat and bats upon me. It felt so real." His mother gave him a stern look and said, "Maybe that's a sign, Jack. A sign for you that you should change your ways, your behavior. You can't keep teasing and tormenting innocent creatures and children. From today, you ought to be a good boy." Jack hung his head in shame, realizing that his actions had consequences beyond his own enjoyment. He promised to become a better person and treat others with kindness and respect. The next day, Jack woke up with a newfound sense of purpose. He apologized to the kids he had teased and befriended the weaker kids who needed his support. He stopped tormenting insects and animals and began to appreciate the beauty of nature. As he walked to school, he passed by the same dark forest he had seen in his dream. This time, he didn't feel scared. Instead, he saw the trees as beautiful beings that provided shade and shelter for the creatures that lived within them. He even spotted the same owl from his dream and smiled, feeling grateful for the reminder of his promise to be a better person. In the end, Jack learned that his actions had consequences beyond his own enjoyment. He realized that kindness and respect were the keys to a happy life, and that he had the power to make a positive difference in himself.